Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us. We work around it and we live around it every day. And we just become desensitized to what's around us.
We go through safety training and, we try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen, but you just never know.
There are so many farmers that I think take for granted all of the underground utilities that are there.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
I mean, we kind of know what's out here, but all at the same time, you just always call.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Whether you're installing drain tile or doing any sort of digging, always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked and have the depth confirmed. That's farming with care. But if a line does get damaged, go somewhere safe and call 911.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Hi, I'm Kingsley's husband, and welcome to another episode of, You know the thing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai, here in studio with our amazing producer, Ryan. Ryan, are you a big Jaggers fan?
Yeah, they're pretty good, man.
I love that song.
Yeah,
man.
that is a good one.
I cannot get that beat out of my head. Love everything on the lyrics. Hey, Joe, more like, I bet ya there's someone out to get ya. All right, we're going to move it through. It's just me today. There's no Mr. Gordy. Ryan, do you feel a little bit more lonesome here?
I do. It's just so weird without Mark.
I know. Oh, wow, kind of like empty. We're going to need you to step it up today, though.
Got a little extra elbow room here. I can move around.
No static from the phone?
No static.
All right, let's get into it today. So I'm not sure if they are listening to this show, but the Washington Post put out an opinion piece the other day basically saying, hey, we should get rid of Kamala Harris and we should replace her with Hillary Clinton. What? First, how is that going to look? Don't you think after all the left has stood for the last decade or so, that if they replace a black woman on the ticket with a white woman, their base is going to scratch their head saying, hey, wait a minute, what just happened? What are you doing? So in the article, they argue that having Harris on the ticket would deter already skeptical voters due to the vice president's competency or lack thereof. Are they saying that? Competency? Are they questioning it because she's black, Ryan? Maybe. I don't know. That's what the right would accuse us of, I think.
No, absolutely.
Having Clinton on the ticket instead, the article says, of Harris, would reassure voters that if the need arises, she would be able to step in for Biden during his second term. I'm going to read, if the need arises, they're trying to sneak one in on you, the American people. They're trying to sneak one in. They quote, if Biden needs to step down, even those who didn't vote for Clinton would have confidence in her ability to keep the country on track. Would we? Keep the country on track? It would fly off the tracks worse than Norfolk Southern did at East Palestine. Hillary Clinton, keeping the country on the... The writer suggested that Harris be named Attorney General in a second Biden administration in exchange for her agreeing to bow out from the ticket. Okay, number one, her as Attorney General, this is the same woman that put tons of people in jail for weed, which they're now letting people out of jail for weed. She's never apologized for that or said anything. Anyway, ask yourself, why is there even a conversation all of a sudden about replacing Kamala Harris? I wonder if instead of Kamala, they really mean Joey baby. I mean, they just admitted the only reason to replace Kamala would be because Joe would have to step down. So they're telling you they're going to replace Joe. They're telling you right now they're going to replace Joe. The only question is, when's it going to happen? And I think it's going to happen for sure before the election, probably not long after the convention. Matter of fact, mark it down. They're going to use the 25th Amendment to get Joe Biden out. That's their only play. It's their only play. And they have to do it soon because of what's coming out. Again, they're pressed for time with the election coming up in 5 months, but it's also what's coming out every single day about Biden and his crime family. And I'm not talking about Biden's lack of mental capability, capacity, whatever you want to call it about. Everyone knows about that by now. I'm talking about all the crimes Joe Biden's administration has committed. His administration, not Joe Biden, I guess, for this part. And all the ones Joe Biden committed before he was president. Let's not forget about that. So you have the administration, because he's clearly out of control now. And then you have, before he was president, all the crimes he committed then. It's all coming out. Let's go over some things here. November 15th, 2022. Ryan, what happened that day?
November 15th, 2022?
You should have no idea.
I have zero idea.
Trump declared he's running for president in 2024. And then what happened 72 hours later, Ryan? You won't know this either. I don't know why I'm asking you, but you're the common man. I'm painting the picture. I'm like a lawyer trying to paint the picture, give circumstantial evidence here. Merrick Garland, 72 hours after Trump announced he was running for president in 2024, Merrick Garland appointed Jack Smith as a prosecutor. What else happened? Nathan Wade spent the entire day billing the White House. He was at the White House billing them for it. That's Fannie Willis's boyfriend, Nathan Wade. We have no idea when the relationship started. We just know that Nathan Wade was at the White House on November 18th, billing them for an entire day. And also, Michael Colangelo left the Biden administration to work at Alvin Bragg's district attorney's office for way less money. And the media wants you to believe that all of these just random events, totally random, unrelated, they're not going to touch it. This is nothing. This is no big deal. You're seeing things. Now let's talk about that's just the administration. Let's talk about some of the crimes the Bidens have committed before Sleepy Joe was president. For the sake of time, I'm going to ignore the classified documents he kept in a garage where his crackhead son was staying. I mean, remember, Robert Hur said he wasn't confident enough to mentally stand trial for that one. And Merrick Garland is currently being held in contempt of Congress because he won't release the tapes from the Hur interview. Gee, I wonder why. Just like the day of November 18th, the media wants you to believe it's completely random that the Biden administration has us giving billions of tax dollars to a country the Bidens have shady business deals in. And that country is Ukraine. Now, this story just came out the other day from Just the News' John Solomon. And to summarize in a sentence, the Bidens had a secret 25% stake in Burisma worth $120 million while Trump was being impeached for his perfect phone call to Zelensky. And the FBI, the kicker, the FBI knew all about this $120 million investment deal. Mark, called you Mark. Right. Do you know what you could buy with $120 million?
You could buy a couple things, yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Right.
I mean, half a pier in Gaza. Hey. Okay, so John Solomon uncovered that the FBI learned as far back as 2016 that Hunter Biden and his partners had plotted to set up a new venture in tax-friendly Liechtenstein. I don't know where that is, or if I'm even pronouncing it correctly. The venture will be capitalized by a whopping $120 million investment from the controversial owner of the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma Holdings. The mega deal was not referenced inside Hunter Biden's now infamous laptop or during the 2019 impeachment proceedings involving President Trump and Ukraine, but it was instead chronicled in documents the FBI seized from Hunter Biden and his business partners during an investigation of securities fraud nearly a decade ago. The cache of documents was recently turned over by former Hunter Biden business partner Devon Archer to the House Oversight Committee as part of its impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden's conduct. The new evidence shows that the major investment plan was being built at the time when Hunter Biden was serving on Burisma's board of directors. And I'll ask our audience, what was Joey baby? What was Joe Biden at the time? Ryan, do you know what Joe Biden was at that time?
I do not.
You just don't know. He was still serving as not only Barack Obama's vice president, but he was in charge of U.S.-Ukraine policy. Again, while President Trump was being impeached for a phone call to Zelensky, The FBI had smoking gun evidence that Biden, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, was engaged in it at absolute minimum, pay to play. And for those saying, hey, well, at least Joe Biden loves his son. Well, he did these schemes using his crackhead son, who we all know, like I said, he loves very much, as the bag man. So does he really love his son, or does he just like to use his son? Do Hunter's texts from the laptop referencing his father as the big guy make sense now? This is why we need to not only win in 2024, we need to win on a landslide. It's the only way we're going to be able to hold anyone accountable. We clearly don't have the media on our side. We don't have the FBI. We don't have the DOJ. We don't have anyone. It's just us. And it's not just Joe and his administration that needs held accountable. Clearly, like I said, it's the FBI, and you know who else? Obama. Obama knew Biden had 20 shell companies. He knew he was laundering money. He knew he kept classified documents. He had to. He knew all. They all knew. Just like everyone knows that it's Obama running the show from probably the basement. He even said it years ago. And Ryan, get this audio ready. He said it would be the perfect way to have a third term, to just sit in the basement. Play the Obama audio when you get a chance, Ryan.
People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony.
Ryan, does that sound like what we've been seeing the last 3 or 4 years?
It sounds exactly like what we've seen the last 3 or 4 years.
Except we just haven't. Obama is the ventriloquist.
He's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. You got a good point right there. Yeah. We got to pull back the curtain, just peel it back a little bit.
And there's no speculation about what was said. That was straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Be careful calling him a horse. We get, you got to be careful with the Democrats on the left. We'll get accused of attacking them and on all that stuff. But that's the audio right there. That's it. That's all the audio you need to hear. And we need to hold them accountable. We need to hold them. They're rubbing your noses in it. Anyway, now I told you they're going to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of Biden. The Burisma deal and what happened on November 18th, that's just 2 reasons why it'll be the 25th Amendment. They can't have this stuff go to an impeachment where the American people will be watching and evidence might slip out implicating Obama, someone else. Maybe that's why we are seeing Joe Biden acting so inappropriate more often. And it's always... Is it just me? He always looks like an unmade bed. We've seen the videos of him struggling to walk across the lawn and into the White House. Sometimes he's just very slow. Sometimes he goes the wrong way, hangs a left. Ryan, I showed you the video before of him walking, trying to get into the presidential limousine. What did you think of that?
It looked like somebody who, not trying to be funny or anything. It looked like somebody who was at the end of their life, Joe. It looked like there's no life in that body. It's insane that this person is believed to be running everything, is believed to be the leader of the free world. Again, this person trying to get into the car, it could have taken all day if that video wouldn't have shut off.
You're right. He made, whenever Hillary got into that van in 2016, he made her look limber.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Wow. All right. Like I said, he can't even get to a car. He was moving in slow motion. And then there's this from the other day. Ryan, get this other audio ready of Biden just shouting gibberish. He's in the Oval Office being asked questions by reporters, important questions about 2024 and what lies ahead for this country. And listen to his response. Go ahead, Ryan. Can you play that one more time just to reinforce? And now they want to call these videos cheap fakes and say Joe Biden is a victim of them. Cheap fakes. Stormy Daniels is a victim of cheap fakes, not Joe Biden. Was it a cheap fake when Biden fell at a graduation ceremony at a military institute? I think it was the Air Force Academy last year, maybe. Was that a cheap fake? Surely that could not have been real when he fell. Was it a cheap fake when Biden said he had hairy legs and that black kids in the pool would play with his hairy legs and pull on them? Was that a cheap fake? Yes or no? The media and Joe Biden's administration are the ones guilty of cheap fakes. A cheap fake is when Trump was feeding goldfish in Japan And they cut out certain parts of the video to make it look like he was overfeeding the goldfish, possibly risking killing them. And the media went with that story and ran with it for like a day or two. Do you remember that one?
I do. That's insane.
Yeah, okay, if you actually remember that,
Come on.
there's more hope for this country than I thought. Okay. Okay, what about this one, Ryan? Remember the Border Patrol agents that were suspended without pay for the cheap fake
yeah.
of them whipping a migrant crossing the border illegally?
Yeah.
He was holding horse reins. That's a cheap fake. That's the definition of a cheap fake. What about the cheap fake of the pictures of classified documents laid and spread out all over the floor at Mar-a-Lago? How'd that cheap fake turn out? Where's Jack Smith? Where's his case? From now on, if you're the media, if you're Biden's administration, the talking points people, show us how they are deep fakes. Explain like we're eating paste with popsicle sticks. Joe Biden's falling apart. He looks like he's half melted, okay? Ryan, before we go to break, I have to read you this. I think it's from The Guardian.
Okay.
Videos of Biden looking lost are viral political tactic. Low-level manipulation. The editing videos are often posted to question the U.S. president's mental fitness at 81. Standing among, this is from the article. What is Biden doing? The Republican National Committee's research Twitter account wrote. In actuality, it was nothing. They're talking about whenever there was a skydiver and George Maloney had to go grab him and lead him back. In actuality, it was nothing strange at all. Biden had turned towards skydivers and given them a thumbs up, and a broader view of the video showed. It happened again. It wasn't a broader view. They just zoomed out. You couldn't see it was happening. Anyway, it happened again at a fundraiser with former President Barack Obama. Biden appeared to freeze up on stage, the New York Post wrote, saying Obama had to lead Biden off stage in the latest example of the president being dazed or confused. A zoomed out video of the incident showed Biden waving and taking the applause from the crowd after a lengthy discussion moderated by late host Jimmy Kimmel. Again, they just zoomed out and you couldn't see that Obama was grabbing his hand. For viewers of right-wing media or social media feeds tailored towards conservatives, these videos of Biden surface near daily in an attempt to underscore one of the president's key liabilities, his age. They're often selectively edited to make Biden look old. They kick off a series of headlines about how his age is showing, yet another series of headlines about how the videos are created to mislead. Have you seen what I'm seeing? Like, do you pay it? You almost need Twitter or X or social media because they don't even show this on Fox News.
Yeah.
They don't even show this stuff on Fox News anymore. And an article like that, don't believe your own eyes. 1984. Don't believe your own eyes. All right, what time is it? We got to go to a break here. But we are a week away from a presidential debate. When we return, we're going to discuss some of Joe Biden's policy disasters over the last few years and how Trump could attack him using those failed policies during the debate. Oh, and by the way, when I say Trump attacked Biden, again, I mean figuratively. Apparently in 2024, you have to let people know you're joking, or they'll think Trump might try to assault Biden with his mic turned off or beat him with a microphone while his is on. I'm not making this up. Joe Scarborough, whatever you want to call him, thinks Trump might try to actually do just that. We'll talk all about it when we return, so stay tuned. You're listening to Thinking Logical 99.3 WBVP. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Friendly Federal Credit Union is honoring graduates this month. Forget the fancy gadgets, jewelry, or lavish parties. Get your graduate a gift that will provide numerous benefits. A graduate account at Friendly Federal Credit Union. This is Cindy Haladio. Graduate accounts at Friendly Federal include free checks, a $500 credit limit Visa card with approved credit, online access, great personal service, and a debit card tied to the account. Here's the great news. I've got applications for you and your graduate. Your student has until the end of this month to apply for the annual Anthony S. Payne and Carl D. Ross Memorial Scholarships. While they're doing that, you can apply for a low 2.75% home equity loan. Available now with approved credit. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union for more information or click friendlyfcu.org. It's the place that makes more sense for you. Equal Housing Lender, member NCUA.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 99.3 FM WBVP. Again, you're listening to Thinking Logically. Before the break, we were talking about the Biden crime family and some of their crimes. Not all of their crimes. Just some, and now we're going to transition to, I guess, just crime in general. Ryan, when I use the term street justice, what do you think of?
Not good. If it's street justice, then I think that pretty much explains itself, right?
Yes. When you think of street justice, you wouldn't want to be a victim.
Right.
I don't want to use the term victim because of this next story of street justice, but that's exactly what we saw. Sometimes street justice could be a good thing, and it was in this case. So a group of local men tied up and beat an illegal immigrant accused of brutally raping a 13-year-old girl in Queens, New York. Christian Giovanni Ingalandi is a 25-year-old Ecuadorian illegal, one of millions Joe Biden has let into this country to rape and kill innocent women, I guess. He arrived via Eagle Pass, which is a popular hotspot for illegals to come in the country. That was in 2021, and he headed, I think, straight to New York after that, apparently. So according to police, Ingalandi attacked 2 teenagers in a secluded park in the middle of the day with a machete-style knife, tied them up with shoelaces, and then raped the girl. He went on the run, but was identified by locals who tracked him to a local deli and then beat the brakes off him. Ryan, we have audio of one of the gentlemen that helped track this man down and beat the brakes off him. Can you play that when you get a chance?
Take him out, and I told everybody, yo, this is the rapist, I punched him, I kicked him a little bit, but yeah, that's it. What did you say to him? Nothing, I ain't saying nothing to him. I'm always quiet when I see new people that I really don't know, you feel me? Like, I recognize people that come around him, man, hold up, this is son. But I already knew it was him, so he was coming down this block, I already knew it was him. Did he say anything to you? Nope. Nothing at all? He didn't see it coming. Wow. So describe that takedown, it's not even that I'm big, it's just, you feel me, I got 2 little sisters, and I'm about to have a daughter, so it's like, for me, it did not sit right. Either way, if I didn't have 2 little sisters, I was about to have a daughter.
Okay. Let's give a few other things about. See, street justice could be good. Ryan, do you feel a little bit better after hearing that?
In that case, yes.
I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. Now, it says he was accused of raping, so you don't want to beat up anyone innocent. But apparently, and this could be true, it could not be true, the guy videotaped him raping the 13-year-old.
Oh.
Girl. This idiot actually did. I think he filmed himself raping the 13-year-old, so it should be an open shut case. Send him back. This guy, though, he was captured, processed, and then released with his son to a local nonprofit organization, along with a notice to appear for the immigration court, I'm guessing it is. The family was deemed inadmissible by border agents because they lacked proper documentation to be in the U.S. Where are they? In the U.S., him and his son. He was ordered to leave the U.S. by New York City immigration judge on February 2nd, 2022. Well, what happened? Why didn't he leave? What could have happened that all of a sudden he just didn't leave? Maybe he was getting free room and board in New York City and didn't want to leave. My Lord. I hope Trump remembers all this when they talk about the debates. And that's going to be, until we get to the end of the segment, we'll cover the debate here. But that's going to be all this. This is all needs to be brought up during the debate. So let's go over a few stories last year involving illegal aliens and women, whatever you want to call them, illegals and women, American women. 13-year-old girl brutally raped in Queens, New York by Christian Landy. He was an Ecuadorian illegal. We just covered that one. Lankin Riley, her killer. Jose Ibarra, I believe was his name. He's a Venezuelan illegal. Rachel Morin, we just covered her last episode. I think she was killed about a year ago. Her killer was just arrested. Victor Martinez Hernandez, El Salvadorian illegal. That's just a few. But what was Biden's response after a string of illegals come up through the border and kill and rape women in this country? What was his response? To give them amnesty. That was his move. I'm going to read this. Biden, he bypassed Congress. That's the move. Bypass Congress and give them mass amnesty. They're illegal. I don't care if they've been here for 10 years. We don't know for sure anyway. We just told you about the guy that raped a 13-year-old girl that came over with his son. How could you vote for these policies? Ryan, you're a voter. Thoughts on deporting these people on day one? On day one, deporting them.
Listen, Joe, I'm going to tell you this. There was... on one side, you got people from the Democrat side saying you can't even say that this guy doesn't look like he's stable, right? We just heard that in the last segment. Now, what the message that I'm getting personally is, if somebody comes into this country and rapes somebody, they're going to be protected. So we're not, for one, you can't say that somebody who is obviously doesn't look well, you can't say that about him, but it's okay.
It's a good point.
To come into this country and rape our women because we're not going to do anything to you. Where's the mind of what's going on, Joe?
And you probably didn't watch a State of the Union
I
address.
did not.
But he spiked the football and said, "How often does this really happen with the Eagles killing? How many Americans actually kill illegals?" I think was the argument that he made. Look, we got to deport them all day one. Day one is when the accountability will start.
But Joe, how do you do that? There's so many that leaked into this country. There's so many people that's here illegally. How long do you think it would take for this problem? It would take Trump's term times how many? Because how are you going to even identify a lot of these people that came across the border?
When they stormed the beaches of Normandy, Ryan, they didn't say, how are we going to get up on that hill?
Yeah, you're right.
They just stormed the beaches and they went right up, okay?
It just seems to me like these last how many years? I don't even want to put a finger, but how did things get so out of control, Joe?
They kind of creep up on you usually, but everything's been accelerated. So we've noticed the last 3 years. Before it would just be a couple stories here and there. Now it's every day. I could do a show for 3 hours every day if I wanted to pick all these stories out, if I really wanted to. And day one, deport them day one. You got to get ahead of it. We can't procrastinate.
Let me. Can I clear one thing up? Because people that are listening might say, well, this guy, he's a right winger. He wants to deport everybody. I think what a message that you're putting out that maybe people are missing is all you're suggesting, Joe, is people abide by the law. When they come here, do it legally, just like you've been required to do things your whole entire life.
Yes.
All you're asking is for these people to come here legally and don't start with a criminal record right off the top. I think this kind of gets misconstrued with people because when they hear the message you're saying, they're like, well, this guy, of course, this is what he's saying because he is right-wing. And these are, I think what Joe's trying to say, and many people on this side of the aisle, is come legally and there's no issues. There's no problems. So we can identify you. So if you have a third world disease, maybe 300 million Americans won't have to die. I think this is the message that's trying to be put across, but a lot of times it's being misconstrued because it puts this discriminative twist on it, and they're like, well, wait a minute, he has a red hat in front of him, so he must hate these people, or he must. That's not the truth. I talked to you off the air. That's not the truth. You just want people to do the things the right way, the same way you've been required to do your whole life.
And you have the media painting the narrative for everyone else, telling them what I think, what people like me think. And the media, they're going to believe me, on day one, they're going to report on these mass deportations like it's the Trail of Tears. They're going to compare it to Indians suffering, walking hundreds of miles to Oklahoma land. Maybe they'll even claim we, the citizens, are the ones on stolen land. Who knows? But we got to move on because, again, bring it up during the debate, Trump, if you're listening. Bring it up during the debate. All right, Ryan, you have 3 kids, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any student loans? Do you have any student loans coming up?
You know what? Unfortunately, at this time, I do not.
Okay, so if you have any coming, if you're listening out there and you have kids with student loans, you're still paying on them, you'll love this story. The comms director for Democrat Ohio Congresswoman Macy Kepter made a post on X bragging about getting his student loans paid off by Joe Biden. Kamens is the individual's name. I can't remember his first name because he made his X account private. He makes $90,000 a year working for Congressman Marcy Kaptur, and he's bragging about having his student loan debt canceled. Sad thing is, and if you know anything at all about money, right, it's not already canceled. Someone else just has to pay for it now. Probably us, probably the taxpayer. But hey, at least it bumped Joey Baby up in the polls a little bit. At least he got a slight bump out of this. So if you're paying student loans, you got this guy who at BEEKAMENS on X, if you want to try to follow him, he blocked everyone and made his tweets protected. Shows him out last week having fun at a baseball game, sitting courtside at an NBA game. He was at a football game. Which football team is this? I can't. Lincoln Financial Field. Ryan, who is that?
Oh, who is
Probably
that?
DC. I would guess it'd be DC. Maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea. Regardless, how many sporting events have you been to? Have you sat courtside at an NBA game? I haven't, especially not this year, especially under this Biden economy. And he's out there, like I said, bragging about getting his student loans paid for as he makes $90,000 a year. Who's on the hook for it? Us, the taxpayer. Okay.
That is Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. I knew it was a filthy city. All right. All right. Again, these are all things Trump needs to bring up during the debate to show how awful the last 3 or 4 years have been. And the next one is the pier, the $230 million pier. So in the last few days, it's been announced that $230 million U.S. aid pier, we'll call it, in Gaza, it's going to be dismantled by early July after just, I think, 10 days. It was an operation. Complete and utter failure. Talk about a waste of money, a waste of $230 million, the price of Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium. This could go to anything else. It could go to our veterans. There's so many other places we could use $230 million. Ryan, if you think of any, just shout them out.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But it gets worse. That's just one aspect of the money laundering scheme that Biden administration are swindling us, the American people, on. So that's the pier. Now there's this. This is from the Washington Times. Biden's $42.5 billion with a B $billion rural high-speed internet plan gets stuck in red tape. That's the headline for the Washington Times. They go on to tell you not a single home was connected to the internet after 3 years. Audit right now, today. Republicans, this is why we need to win. Audit every single transaction related to Biden's high-speed internet plan. Every single one. Keep in mind, we just found out not too long ago that only 8 electric vehicle charging stations were built, and that price tag for that bill was like $7.5 billion with a B. Billion. Where is this money going? And look at okay, let me read the article. Ryan, I might need you to jump in on this one.
All right.
Look at what they blame it on in the article. Quote from the article. Let me get a drink of water because I might pass out after reading this. Lawmakers and internet companies blame the slow rollout on burdensome requirements for obtaining the funds, including, brace for impact, climate change mandates, preferences for hiring union workers, and the requirement that eligible companies prioritize, wait for it, the employment of justice impacted people with criminal records to install the broadband equipment. Huh. They want felons, which I'm not against it.
No, I'm
not against it. But why does it have to be? Why does it have to be justice impacted people?
Yeah.
Why do we even have to create that term? Someone got paid probably maybe even $100,000. Who knows what these figures flying around? Someone got paid $100,000 to probably come up with that term, justice impacted people. Nothing got done. No ditches got dug. Nothing. I don't understand how this couldn't be like the number one story on Fox News. Ryan, have you heard of this?
I haven't heard it at all.
I mean,
no.
It just came out a couple days ago, but this is freaking amazing to me. Absolutely freaking amazing. But these are all the things that Trump could bring up. Let's see here. Do we have time? Let's just roll with it. Let's get into the debate here. Play the audio of Joe Sauerbo saying what Trump is going to do to Biden at the debate.
He is a disruptor, and he is going to figure out, you can cut off the microphones, you can do whatever you want to do. He is a disruptor. He doesn't really know the facts of the issues well at all, so he has to disrupt. He has to shock. He can. It's like your father wrote about the Soviet Union. They can't play by the rules. They can't play by the rules that America plays by, because the old Soviet Union was inferior intellectually, they were inferior militarily, they were inferior economically, they were inferior politically, they were inferior in every way. And that's Donald Trump. He cannot debate Joe Biden on the merits. So he's going to be a disruptor, and the Biden team better be prepared for Donald Trump to what? I mean, what would a disruptor do? Okay, you're going to cut off my microphone. I'm going to walk over to your microphone, and I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to. He could do that. He could do, like, imagine the 10 most disruptive things that Donald Trump could do, and he's going to probably do those very things, because he doesn't play by the rules. And if the Biden camp goes into this thinking he's going to play by Marcus of Queensberry rules, they're going to be shocked, and the night is going to end.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, this is seriously funny to me, because if you have a sharp enough mind to remember the 2000 elections between Al Gore and George W. Bush, when Al Gore literally left his podium, walked over, rolled up his sleeves, and stood a foot away from George W. Bush as he was trying to answer a question.
I remember that.
Mean, isn't this the
I
exact,
remember that. I remember that.
What he is trying to say that Trump is going to do is exactly what Al Gore did in that debate.
Totally, that's a really good point. That's really good to bring that up. But yeah, like, he's going to walk over and just beat him with a microphone.
Right.
I mean, come on. Okay, before we move to break, let's just get through this. So Trump can't attack Joe Biden physically. But with this debate, what can Trump do? Like we said, he could bring up all the things from the past, the Russian laptop, disinformation campaign. It was a campaign now. The Alpha Bank hoax, the Steele dossier, the impeachment hoax #1. With what we talked about with John Solomon in the beginning of the episode. Impeachment hoax #2 was January 6th. The current indictments that are going on right now. And you got to wonder, will Obama be in Josie or telling him what to say? I mean, I don't know what you guys are expecting. He's going to be drugged up. Ryan, real quick, do you think they should be a drug test? It's crazy to say this, but should both candidates take a drug test before the debate?
If you're running for the president of the United
What's
States,
so hard about that?
I think that you should be.
What's so hard about that? I mean, it's not asking that much.
Because if somebody gets in and there was a problem, the Americans will say, well, then why weren't these people tested or pre-screened or
Good
what?
point.
You know.
But don't get excited. Biden, he's not going to fall flat on his face. He's going to be drugged up just like the State of the Union address. And the people will probably notice, hey, there might be something, maybe they're right. Maybe there is something a little off with this guy. Maybe there's something a little wrong with him. And it's going to continually build up as we get into August and the convention. And then once he's finally nominated, that's when they can start making the change. And before we go to break, I'm going to read you this one tweet on X from Mays. So Trump's opening statement should be, America, before we start, I just want to say one thing. During our last debate, Joe Biden looked into the camera and told you that his son's laptop was a Russian plant, knowing it wasn't true. He told you that neither he nor his son have ever taken money from China. He told you that he has never taken a dime from any foreign source. He lied to you. Those have all been proven to be lies. Why would you believe anything he says tonight? And then we get to Cameron. That's it. That's what I would say. I don't know what else to do. We got to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about our financial system. Lots of money here. Printing. All right, we'll be back. This is Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today. Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years' experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gala of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP, brought to you by Mitchell's Jewelers. Remember, it takes an enormous amount of pressure to make a diamond, so why should you put yourself under any more pressure when buying one? Don't. Go to Mitchell's Jewelers, where the choice is as clear as their diamonds. Mitchell's Jewelers, located at 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. That's 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. And there's probably never been a better time to visit Mitchell's Jewelers than months and years like this, with the printing of the dollar and how our money is just being thrown into the dumpster. Pretty soon it's going to be we're the reserve currency, the world's reserve currency. But that title just doesn't last forever. Going back in history, we've had quite a few reserve currencies. We had France. They were, I think, the first one I can remember, world reserve currency. Spain was also a reserve currency. Ryan, can you name any reserve currencies?
I'm not that smart of a guy, Joe. I'm going to leave that up to you.
Okay, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, whatever you want to call them, right before World War II, they were the reserve currency. What did they all have in common? They used a private Western central bank. We call ours the Federal Reserve. So what does the Federal Reserve do? They loan money to us with interest attached. Now, it's bad enough that we have no control, absolutely no control over when or why or how they print the money. But what makes it worse is our corrupt Congress takes that money and then just launders it off all over the place, all over the world. This is why our taxes are always going up. This is why everything has gone up since we switched over in 1971 and went full fiat. This is why you see inflation. Because the value of the currency devalues over time because, again, they just keep on printing it. I don't even know how it works now. They probably just press a button and boom, there's more in circulation. But what is the value of our currency? What's it backed by? What makes it valuable? Technically, I guess nothing. It is backed by oil sales from the Middle East, I guess. And that brings us to our next topic, which is, how is our dollar going to compete with BRICS in the future? Or how are we in general going to compete with BRICS in the future? It came out last week, the Middle Eastern countries that were selling oil using the petrodollar, they're no longer using the petrodollar. Or if they are using the petrodollar, they're accepting other currencies, rubles, whatever. Also, I want to remind our audience that we invaded a lot of these countries in the Middle East. Libya, Lebanon, Iraq. Remember Obama's red line with Syria? Yeah, that was all about the petrodollar. Remember Gaddafi? They threw him on a truck and rode him out and shoved a knife up his butt there? Yeah, that was over the petrodollar. See, it's coming out that the BRICS nations don't want to use fiat. They want to trade in their own currency that's backed by something. I don't know what it'll be backed by, gold, silver, precious metals. I have no idea. I'm not an expert like that. How will the Middle East countries act, though, now that a new nation, group of nations, I guess BRICS, I should say, want to trade and can trade using their own currency? And it's not just the Middle East where BRICS is courting those nations. Look at what they were doing in South America, or what Russia is doing in Cuba, or even, I guess, North Korea now. And again, that could be a good segue to our next topic here, Putin in North Korea. Now, it looks like North Korea and Vladimir Putin, Russian Federation, they have an agreement, and it's a defense agreement. That doesn't mean that if North Korea fires the missiles and starts World War III, that Putin is going to come and attack the United States or defend Kim Jong-un. I think it's Kim Jong-un now. That doesn't mean that. That just means that they have a mutual assistance. And this is from Douglas McGregor on X. Russia and North Korea signed strategic partnership pact, reject the United States sanctions. The rest of the world is laughing at a once feared superpower. The treaty provides for mutual assistance in the event of aggression against one of the parties. Moscow and Pyongyang agreed on the cause of the escalation of military and political tensions. It's the confrontational policy of the United States to expand its military infrastructure into the sub-region. Such steps undermine peace and stability and threaten all Northeast Asian countries. Again, we've been saying North Korea was never an issue. It was an issue for the first few months. I tell Kim Jong-un that my red button is much bigger and it actually works. I remember all the mean tweets. I was there. I read them. Now, all of a sudden, we push North Korea into not only the arms of China, but Russia. And it's almost like an alliance is being formed against the Western countries. And this is from Kim.com. The next escalation will be North Korea versus South Korea. South Korea has provided hundreds of thousands of artillery shells to Ukraine to kill Russians. Another battlefront for a weakened U.S. government that is out of ammo and out of money. The U.S. proxy war in Ukraine keeps backfiring. And again, are we going to be in war? Is that going to, Ryan, are you afraid, are you afraid that's going to be the next big event? First, it was COVID in 2020. Now it's been like the border and stuff like that the last couple of years. War is something very different. War is something that will wake, I think, a lot of people up.
War is something that I think it's a very real possibility. On top of that, Joe, with the way that I kind of seen this is when I first seen the headline with Putin and Kim Jong-un standing there together. For one, it was no surprise because, again, you always hear these countries put together: China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Maybe next they'll come out and tell us that Iran and China are actually friends. To me, it seemed like it was a symbol. It was for whoever they're trying to. And it's the U.S. and the West. They were trying to come out and say, all right, here it is. And it was symbolic to me. When I seen that image of Putin and Kim Jong, I thought it was symbolic. I thought it was them saying, okay, here we are, we're united. But at the end of the day, I wasn't surprised by it. You know what I mean?
Well, you look at it though, and they project strength.
Exactly.
Do we? I looked at the White House today. Kamala Harris had the queer eye for the straight guy people at the White House at the podium. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Like, everyone is watching this. What kind of message are you sending? Again, I don't care if you're gay, homosexual. It doesn't bother me one bit. It does not bother me one bit. It doesn't bother me at all. I just don't want it. It shouldn't be the priority, should it?
No.
It should not be the priority. And it's in our military too now. It's just like, what's going on? We got men in dresses marching around to giving orders. What the heck is going on over here? And then Admiral, shouldn't even call her Admiral, Doctor, I shouldn't even call her Doctor. Rachel Levin, Rick Levin, whatever you want to call him. Just this guy, he's a psychiatrist, children's psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever. All of a sudden wakes up one day and just, stretches out in the morning, probably just says, you know what? Oh, wow, I've been wrong.
I love the way women's underwear feels.
Yeah, I'm a woman. I'm actually a woman. I've had this all wrong. I know I'm a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I know I talk to children for a living, but I have had this all wrong my entire life. These are the people that we're putting in charge. So again, we're going to need a landslide. We're going to need so much public opinion to get all the things that need to be done in this country done. Does that make sense, or how we solve it, Ryan? You got to have public opinion, and it's got to be like 80%. And it's never been that way, probably since Reagan. Even Obama. Obama was popular, but no, he was not getting that. So again, hopefully the next big scare isn't World War III. I fear that it is.
And you know what, Joe? And also another thing was people loved Obama. Whenever people voted for Obama back, when he ran both times, his supporters and followers loved him.
Loved him.
And that's why I think they came out in droves to vote for him, and they supported him, and they encouraged each other to go out and vote. The first time with Joe, of course, how he got these record numbers, for one, is beyond me. But for two, the second time around, I really can't see what would drive that many people to vote for Joe Biden the second time to where it would affect it the way it did the first time. I just don't, not only do people not love him like they did Obama, people just don't like him. He's not a likable guy.
No,
they're voting for him because they don't want to vote for Trump, and they're voting against Trump. But at the end of the day, most people, I don't think are going to get out this time to give him record numbers to beat Trump. So this time around, it's going to be really interesting, Joe. I think it's going to be a little different in a lot of ways, but very interesting nonetheless.
It's going to be a fun 5 months, I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right, when we return, 19 New York Police Department uniforms are missing from a New York City dry cleaners. And last month, 200 New York City Police Department complete police vehicle vinyl stickers went missing from a vendor. Is this a cheap fake of a Die Hard movie? Nope, it's just Joe Biden's America. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it when we come back. You're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, brought to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
The warm weather is back, and that can only mean one thing. Pirates baseball for a 76th season is on Beaver County Radio. Make sure you set your radio dial to WBVP and 99.3 FM. Pirate baseball is being presented locally by the St. Barnabas Health System, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Keystone Wellness Program, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Town Square Restaurant, and Beaver County Radio.
PA Cyber presents Midland Music Mondays at Lincoln Park. On June the 24th at 6:30 p.m., enjoy Burke's Bavarian Band. That's June the 17th in the park, rain or shine. Food truck service begins at 5, sponsored by Beaver County Radio.
It's hard to even put a title on what Tom Young at First Consultants in Beaver does. Calling him a financial planner or an insurance salesman or even a life coach still doesn't accurately describe the experience. That's because he brings dreams back to life or puts life back into retirement.
My job is to create in you the vision of the you that I think you can be, the place that I think you can get to. And you know what? I get frustrated because I see more greatness in people than they see in themselves. I see greater financial futures than they see in themselves. Most people don't believe they can get there.
Find out more by visiting firstconsultantsinc.com or engage in Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP. Ryan, I think I asked you a few weeks ago, you're not a big Star Wars guy, are you?
I am not really. It's not that I have anything against Star Wars, Joe. I just never got into it.
Sounds like you're not gay enough. All right, Star Wars updates. So after 4 episodes of The Acolyte, this is what we've had. This is what I've jotted down. I've watched about 3 or 4 total minutes of it, but this is what I've seen. We've had campfires in space, like we covered a few episodes ago. Fat Jedis. We had a white Jedi, but apparently he committed suicide. Space lesbians making babies with the Force. That's got to be some kind of major rewrite because Anakin was made by the Force, but I don't think it involves space lesbians. There was a stone temple built on a rock that burnt down. That should make you mad right there. And then last episode, episode 4, the Star Wars series featured a pronoun scene where a character corrected herself with the they-them pronoun after they misgendered a Jedi or an apprentice. I don't know. Wasn't the Jedi's biggest flaw, for those of you that know Star Wars, wasn't the Jedi's biggest flaw having pride? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I lost complete interest in Star Wars a long time ago, but it never made me angry. Now it does. It started with them using warp speed in The Last Jedi to ram starships as if they were Roman and Carthaginian ships doing battle in the Mediterranean Sea. Even in... I don't even want to get started. We're just going to move on. I also want to know that apparently the 2 stars are African-American and lesbian mothers. So even in a galaxy far, far away, Disney makes it so the black kids don't have a father. Like, what the... Are we kidding with this? No one's going to have outrage over that? All right. I don't know. Let's move on. So, police uniforms are missing. 19 New York City Police Department uniforms are missing from a New York City dry cleaners. And like I said, last month we had 200 New York Police Department. This is the vehicle vinyl stickers went missing. We saw what's been going on the last few years, and now this happens in Gotham City of all places. Did this happen in The Dark Knight? I feel like Heath Ledger gave a 21-gun salute in a stolen police uniform. Is this a cheap fake? Ryan, did I make that up, or did Heath Ledger actually steal a uniform? Someone call in if you've seen The Dark Knight. But this is something, if you live in New York City, to keep an eye out for. A super villain, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Next, speaking of super villains, Al Sharpton, or as we like to call him, Al Sharp Tongue, maybe not so sharp tongue when he does open his mouth and start speaking. Just play the Sharpton audio. You got to hear it.
Absurdity of Donald Trump acting like he did something. As you know, Joe, I knew Donald Trump for 35 years, fought with him, went to meet with him, tried to get him to do things. I've never seen a black employee in Donald Trump's office. Not one. I used to say going up Trump Towers is like going up the Rocky Mountains. The higher you got, the whiter it got. You didn't see one black employee at his trial. So he did what for blacks? He didn't do it as a private citizen, and as Steve Ratner's charge show, he didn't do it as the president.
Well, first of all, there was a black guy at his trial. He was one of the co-defendants, and they tried a no-knock warrant on him. He was a concealed carry permit guy, and the FBI tried to approach him instead of at his house or somewhere. I didn't want to get rid of it. Trump was always supporting Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, so many other black celebrities, the athletes, civil rights icons, Amoroso.
Everyone seemed to be his friend before he ran for president.
Exactly. It tells you everything you need to know right there. It tells you everything you need to know.
And I would like to think that if he would run a Democrat, a lot of these people would still be his friend.
He was a Democrat for the longest time.
Exactly.
I mean...
Exactly.
I don't know. But...
When did he become a racist in the eyes of these people? It was when he ran for Republican in Republican
When he came
office.
down the escalator.
Absolutely.
He came down the escalator and put that white hood on.
Before that, I got to tell you, my whole life, I've heard this man's name so many times. Those words were never put together in my life. I'm not going to say any. I'm just saying in my personal life, I've never heard him call those words prior to that election.
Me neither. All right. We got about 5 minutes left. Dr. Fauci, again. Now Fauci's making his rounds on morning talk shows and Morning Joe as well, promoting his new book. Fauci, I'll remind everyone, he's promoting his new book and he's talking on all these sitcoms. Fauci told Congress he couldn't recall much of anything that happened during COVID. Now he has a book. Is the book called Pinocchio? He went on Colbert and told him that his diagnosis of the country is that there's, quote, there's a degree of schizophrenia in America. He doesn't understand why we're so divided. We're divided because of your lies about COVID. Did it come from a bat meeting with a muskrat and then went and gave it to a Pangolinian somehow? Or did it come from the lab in Wuhan that was using gain-of-function research? Ryan, play the Fauci audio. This idiot.
Could the coronavirus have been developed at Wuhan as part of a gain-of-function study?
Well, not from the grant that was given by the NIH to study the viruses that they were studying. Because
why not?
The nature of those viruses that were studied were evolutionarily so far distant from what turned out to be SARS-CoV-2 that no matter what you did with those viruses, you would not be able to do that. That doesn't mean that somewhere in China it is conceivable that someone may have been working on something, bringing it out from the environment. That's the reason why we keep an open mind as to what the cause of it is. In my opinion, and in the opinion of most virologists who understand the process, it is much more likely, though not definitive, that it was a natural occurrence from jumping from an animal into a human at the Wuhan market. But since it's not definitive, there's still a possibility that somewhere in China, something was going on where people brought in a virus from the environment and it escaped from the lab.
Okay, apparently it jumped like lice. COVID jumped from person to person to person like lice. It's amazing. All right, moving on. We got about 3 minutes left. Pilot union suggests phasing out masculine terms. Says father, cockpit is offensive to DEI culture. The term cockpit? That's from 16th century bird fighting. What are we canceling cockpit for? I don't understand why this is happening, Ryan. Women don't have a cervix, remember. They have a front hole. These terms. All right, and then the last story of the day, I know you're a big sports guy. The Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. They're sponsoring a gay flag football team. Why? Why? Why is this a headline? I don't have anything to say about it. I don't understand. I don't have a problem with it, but why? Why does there have to be a gay flag football league? I'd be a little bit nervous playing in that league. I'll tell you, I'm not going to lie, for reasons I don't want to get into on the radio. Okay. Ryan, we had a great show today. Anything else you want to talk about? We got about 2 minutes.
I do. Thank you for having me sit in with you. It was great to be able to talk to you in this capacity. But of course, I'm super excited to have Mark back on Monday. It's you guys know what you're talking about. You guys are really involved in this, and I learned a lot from you guys and what you're saying. And I do think that Mark has a good gig here with you, and I do appreciate you letting me hang today. It was a lot of fun.
You're really good, and you brought up a wealth of knowledge into some things that even I have forgotten. So you made some really good points. All right, 21 days until Trump's sentencing, and his legal team has yet to file any pre-sentence appeal, anything like that. So we're getting close to crunch time here. Hopefully they could do it 2 or 3 days before. I don't know. But that's it. Look, guys, when we look back 20, 30, 50, maybe even longer, years from now, one question that always is going to be asked: when did you wake up? Was it during COVID, before? Was it during the border invasion that happened after? Was it World War III, or was it something worse that we haven't seen yet? I don't know, but it's just a crazy time to be alive. And we'll be here reporting the news every day, every Monday at least, and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Thanks for listening. This was Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM, signing off.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and